You are watching Co-op for Two, broadcasting live from Champaign, Illinois, Wednesday evening, December 27th, 2023. We are continuing our playthrough of The Hidden Listener, one of the most expensive and longest of the mystery games that I own, published by a company called CosyKiller. We're up to episode 4 here. I can see there are 16 people in the chat, 7 likes. That's my reminder to you to like this video if you want to see more videos like this. Okay, let's start by apologizing for being so snippy and short with everyone yesterday evening. We went for 6.5 hours, and somewhere around the 4-hour mark, I started to get pretty frustrated. There are certain things that I don't handle well, and frustration is one of them, which is why this channel is so interesting, because we do get a chance to test that quite a bit. And there's certain things that really trigger me, and sort of brute force flailing around really gives me a feeling of like being constrained, and I don't like the feeling. And then there's certain things, there's certain people that are methodical, and if you give them a job like, okay, enter these 1,000 names in a database, they'll just be like, okay, give it to me. I'll type it in, and I'll go slowly, and I'll make sure there are no mistakes. For me, anything like that, any kind of repetitive work, I get sloppy, I go fast, and then I get frustrated. And yesterday, we had multiple things that really triggered all of that. The primary one that started us on the snowball down the hill of frustration was a Morse code puzzle that we figured out pretty early thanks to some help from the channel, but then had to enter in this code into an online Morse code decoding thing, and it was just prone to error. And at the end of it all, after an hour, the message was totally worthless. So that was very frustrating. And then we flailed around trying to get this ticket code to work, which failed. But in the end, we did solve the Morse code key. We mostly got another coded message solved, a substitution cipher, which a number of us solved afterwards. I solved it shortly after I ended the stream last night. DJ Moneycut solved it. Petal in the channel on the YouTube comments posted her thoughts on it, solving it too. So we do have that solved, and we're going to go over that, recap a little. I've gone back through Anna's notes, tweaked them up a little bit. You'll remember the catchphrase for this channel is that the person doesn't solve the case, the notes solve the case. And with these long cases, the notes are critical. In fact, we should probably, Jonathan was trying to tell us this yesterday, but we should remember, this is an expensive game meant to be delivered 1 episode per month. And we're trying to finish each one in a few hours on YouTube. We should not fault the game for wanting to make this a longer experience. You would imagine that most people might be working on a box over the course of days, weeks between them. And we shouldn't get frustrated if we can't solve it in one night, etc. And we also shouldn't get too frustrated by being overwhelmed with documents. And I think that was part of what was happening yesterday. We had the first 2 boxes, they were completely manageable. Then our 3rd box yesterday had 13 different letters in it. Some of the letters are crisscrossing in timeline. And that's part of the challenge here. In fact, a lot of this game feels like it's about reconstructing correspondence. And I love the idea of a story told through letters. So I think we need to recalibrate a little bit and embrace the management the organizational tests of this long case. We're only less than a third of the way through. We've got 12 boxes to go. We're going to have to get serious about organizing our stuff. So to that end, I have made folders for each of our boxes. I've printed out the notes and reorganized them a little. These are Anna's notes. And I've tried to do a better job of organizing our boxes so we keep them in with the letters that are sort of easy to mistake for one another and harder to sort of sort them. I've labeled them by what box they're in. So these letters are from the 2 box, and these letters are from the 1 box. These are my removable little stickers that I put on here. I've also unfolded them. So I'm trying to pay attention to the areas of frustration yesterday and do better at avoiding them. And I think organizing our stuff is one way to do that. I've also made scans of things so we wouldn't forget them, so we could take a better look. Those are the tickets. I just blew them up a little bit, so we've got that. And we're doing our normal thing when we translate, when we decrypt something. I've just put a little index card with the translation on it so we don't have to try to reconstruct. So I hope that that organization will help us a bit. Okay, what else? I've apologized to everyone for being a little short and snippy. You can tell when I start to get that way because I'll read a comment and it won't be completely clear what you're saying, and I'll just say no, no. Do remember you have to say a full sentence when you want to tell me about something, because if you say like, oh, what you just did was this, it's been 10 seconds and I can't respond to it. I can't remember where we were. Okay. A little bit more before we get back into recapping last night's case and open up the new box, which I think we're almost ready to do. I do want to remind you all that a big point of this channel is half the point is playing the game and then half the point is discussing it afterwards. This is a big, long case. Those of you who are joining me for it, I hope you will keep notes about your thoughts on it. The parts you liked, the parts you disliked, any game design notes that you might want to pass along to the developers. I think I'm keeping my notes. I hope you're keeping your notes. Lastly, I want to discuss our schedule here for playing this game. We're going to stick to playing one per night. If a box goes on long, maybe we'll have a second follow-up session on that box. I wasn't sure whether to name this video episode 3B, but I think we're probably ready to move on. Anyway, so it's going to take us another 8 episodes. And what I think I'd like to do is, after tonight, not play for the next couple days. And then on Sunday, we've got a play-by-mail session in the afternoon. And then if there are enough people that want to spend their New Year's here with me, maybe I'll do a New Year's stream. And I guess I'm phrasing that right. What I mean is, if you've got real-life friends to spend New Year's with, that's where you should be. But I'm not embarrassed about the idea of wanting to spend these holidays sort of home alone. But if there are enough of us that want that, I'm not opposed to having a stream over New Year's, not to play the Hidden Listener, to play something else. So if that appeals to you, you should go to the Discord or the Board Game Geek Guild for this channel and let it be known. If there aren't enough people, then I'll probably just spend the evening programming, which is fine. Okay, with that said, let us return to box 3 and recap a little bit and show the puzzle that we ended on solved. All right, so I've organized everything. There was our Morse code with me marking it up so I could better type it in. There's our Russian cipher. The channel did figure out it is in Cyrillic Russian, but it can't translate, meaning it's scrambled. And in fact, the Morse code message said this. Must see you urgently. Stop. Need help with a coded note. Stop. Cannot post. Stop. Will get held up by censors. Stop. That's the content of this. And what she's talking about is this. She's talking about this note, which she must have given in person to Penny when she saw her. Penny is in Bletchley Park. She's the cryptographer or assistant to the Alan Turing cryptographers. So we believe that Lizzie has handed over the note to Penny to work on, and there's the actual note there. We've got no hint that Penny has deciphered it yet, but that may come later. The fact that it's in Russian is very telling for us because we know an earlier message from Lizzie to Penny said, there's a spy in Latimer House. I don't think they're German. I think they're Russian. So this seems like this could be a key message. Now, as a little note, I actually tried to play around with doing a Caesar cipher on the Russian. So transcribing this into text, doing Caesar cipher on it. We've got a couple of Caesar cipher offsets that we think might be related or might be hinted at. And then translating it back, I did not have any luck. So this may be even more cleverly hidden. We don't know yet. We do have several hints that there's going to be a Caesar cipher involved in this case because of this wheel and also because it's mentioned in some of the letters. But this is something that I suspect narratively we're not supposed to be able to figure out yet. Okay, and we don't know what to do with these. We kind of suspect that this might be used for a book code at some point. This is just a very oddly blank card. So we're not sure what that's about. It is referenced in one of the letters. Maybe that's got a bigger clue, but nothing about this. We tried a black light. It doesn't seem to help. So don't know. There's a bunch of stuff in box 3 we don't know what to do with. There's also this oddly misdated postcard. That's the other reason we thought maybe it's a Caesar cipher that's telling us the offset here. All right. So in one of the letters, there were two knitting codes. One was the Morse code that was picked up by one of our people in the channel. I haven't even checked in with the channel yet. Let's see. Dispaminite says, I was happy I solved the one knitting puzzle when I saw everyone else did it 12 hours later. Colby Higgs is here, catching up. Matt E is here. Harry is here. Petiole is here. Professor B is here. Okay, so when in doubt, apply heat to the card. Well, that's an interesting idea. All right, so now let's look at the code that we were in the middle of solving yesterday that I ended the stream having not fully solved. All right, so one of the cool things was we had two codes in our letter sets, and Lizzie is being clever. She's figured out the sensors intercept these messages, but she's going to send encoded messages pretending to be knitting patterns. And so there's two different codes that she's used that are completely different. It's just they both have K's and P's and inks and tags or various words because those are the knitting terms. That's thematically, that's pretty clever. Makes sense. It's not completely clear why she's using different codes, but okay, leave that aside. So Autumn in the channel was the first person to notice, hey, these are This looks like Morse code. This is knitting. Okay, so this was our Morse code. We figured this out. Just to remind you of how we made some progress, we noticed there are actually only 4 symbols here. P1, P3, K1, K3, and then an extra symbol that we figured out is a word break. And we figured out that the K3s are the dashes, the K1s are the dots, the P3s are the letter breaks, and the SSO are word breaks, which you really don't need. You can figure out with a string of letters where to break the words. One of the weird, annoying things was the P1s here were just fillers. They served no purpose. Every other letter is a P1. There's also an unnecessary word break, a letter break after the word break, after the thing. But anyway, the point is we identified 4 symbols, 4 basic symbols, and then coded them to dash, dot, letter break, word break. Now, when we decoded that message, I think we need to do a very minor apology to Joe Smedley, the Cozy Killer author who put this code in, and I'm going to talk about it. Well, okay, so when we finished decoding this Morse code message, which took us a long time, it was pretty painful. I read you what it said, right? It said, must see you urgently, stop, need help with the coded note, stop, cannot post, stop, will get held up by censor, stop. Okay, all totally irrelevant. We already knew that. She already talked about it openly. It makes no sense that, I mean, this is just a pointless message. Nothing about this needs to be conveyed. I mean, like, okay, can't she could just write in plain text, I need to see you. It's just silliness. But we said that was totally useless, but we shouldn't really say totally useless, because there was a piece of this that Antina used to get a breakthrough for this message, which is in a totally different code. And what Antina said was, hey, look at this. Every line is ended in stop, right? And then Antina said, hey, look at this message. Look at the last 4 symbols here. And notice that they repeat. P3, P1, K5, Inc 3. Now, when I looked at it, I tried to make some sense of these. Like, are these logically, like, are the P's doing one thing? Are the 1s meaning offset 1, offset 3? Are the K's different? We actually used some logic. We figured out how many different symbols are there. And we found 5 P's, 5 K's, 5 inks. That gave us 15, and then some weird ones with tags. That helped us a little, but anyway, so, and then Antina said, look at these 4 symbols. If these mean stop, S-T-O-P, if we assume that the letter message ends with the word stop again, is there any suggestion that that's right? And in fact, there is, because you see the same pattern in several places. Here it is again, P3, P1, K5, Inc 3. And then it's repeated somewhere else as well. Now, when we saw that repeated several places, that's when we knew, okay, Antina is right. Now we know each of these symbols is a letter. Here are the mappings for S, T, O, and P. Maybe there's some logic to how they map to English letters, but maybe we don't need to figure that out. And so that's what we did. We took the note, we blew it up, and we started writing on top of it. Now we know we've got a hint about how to solve this, which is this code here that says common letter. And so we started thinking, okay, maybe it's a substitution cipher that has no logic, but you should do what you normally do when you attack a substitution cipher, is you look for the most common letter symbol and assume that that may map to the most common letters in English. It's not always exact. So if E and T are similar in frequency, then the most common letter here might be an E or a T. And we didn't actually count all the letters. We just eyeballed it and said K1 looks the most common. So here was our first attempt. We labeled the stop, and then we went back and said, okay, P3 is always S, P1 is always T, and we labeled all the S's, the T's, the O's, and the P's. And you can see there's a stop, there's a stop, there's a stop. Now, there was another thing we did was, remember that we don't think we have word breaks. Well, how do we know that? Well, we looked at the stops. There's a stop, there's a stop, there's a stop. Now, in the Morse code, there's a special symbol that was used to tell us when we had a break in a word. But when you look at this, we know this is going to be a break of a word, but look at this symbol, Inc 2, and then before this stop is a K1, and before this stop is a P2. So we guessed there is no dedicated symbol for word stops. That makes life more difficult because you don't know exactly where to break words. Except we do know there's going to be a word break before the stop and a word break after the stop. Okay, so I've identified the word breaks and the STOPs, and I've gone ahead and underlined the doubles. Sometimes doubles can help you because you know that there are certain English doubles that are common. Okay, so that's where we got, and then I started playing around with some experiments here. So one way you could try to attack this is you just try to fill in when you can guess, look for areas you can guess, like SEE, we guess that that's probably an M or an N. And I spent a little while experimenting, and we made some good progress, but we ended the stream with a lot guessed in, but not sure and not solved completely. One of the things I really got stuck here is that I had a hard time after we had filled in some guesses of NM here or so. I had a hard time figuring out what word could fill that in. And that caused a little bit of trouble. Okay, so eventually after the stream ended, I did figure it out, and so did BJ Moneycut, and so did our other people. And here is the translation. Okay, so what happened here? Our double consonants were two N's. P2s did turn out to be the N's. I think I originally filled these in with M's and everything else was right. So that's what was tripping us up a little bit. There are a couple other things that trip you up here though. So the E's as K1s turned out to be true, but look at the look at the first word, why it tripped me up. E-M-I-L-I-E. That's someone's name. Now, in America, we're used to Emily, E-M-I-L-Y. This is a very weird first name. That sort of threw me off a bit. But she does mention an E in one of her letters, so maybe we should have focused a little bit more on that being someone's name. Another way you attack substitution ciphers is if you've got a word that you know is going to be found somewhere in the text. And I've talked about that they actually used that when they were cracking the enigma. What they would do is they need to, every day or every month, the code would change. And in order to crack it, they needed to have messages that they knew some words in the message. So what they would do is they would go create a stir, the British, they would do something on an island, on a specific island, and they would know that there had to be messages referring to the name of that island. So whether they bombed it or planted something on it, I don't remember the details, but they would do something on a specific island with a specific name, and then when the messages came through, they would suspect that that name of that island has to be mentioned. And so you can see here that there were a couple words we were looking for, and there's Gretchen's name that we suspected we would see in the message, and in fact, there it is. So what does the message say? It says, Emily says Gretchen's diaries have been taken. Stop. I don't No, who knew? She had them. Stop. And I think there's a little typo. I think we're all in agree that this is a typo, but we can talk about it in a second. This probably says have seen lights in graveyard. Stop. Think tunnel exits there. Stop. So a little bit, maybe I could move this a little bit. So I've circled what we think is a typo. So if you look at this, K1s are the E's. And we know that when you add a tag, you've changed the symbol completely. So K5 tag is completely different than the K5. So K5 tag turns out to be a W, and K5 is not a W. It's something completely else. So when you read this word here, Inc5 K2 P2, comma, tag K1, this should not be an E. And P2 is supposed to be an N. So we have this is the only tag K1 we have. So one way to decode this, if there is no typo, is just to decode it as HAN something. And of the letters left, Z would be the only one that would really fit. So either she's saying in broken English, hands seen lights in graveyard, or she's created a little typo. And this really, if we move the tag over to the P2, and this is really P2 tag, comma, K1, then you get VE, which is much more likely. HAVE, have seen lights in graveyard. It's not important unless you think we have to find hounds. But this typo need not be explained as a typo from the designers. You could just assume that if Elizabeth is sending a message to Penny, writing an encrypted message, occasionally the person encoding it is going to make a typo. So it's much more likely that this is just a typo. So anyway, there's our message. And if we go to our notes, I think I've updated this. So I've tried to put anything involving codes in red. So there's the first message. I think there's a spy at Latimer. Don't think German could be Russian. Then Penny writes back, murder at Latimer. There's our Russian cipher that we haven't solved. And then here are our two ciphers that we have decoded now. Emily says Gretchen's diaries have been taken. Stop. I do not know who knew she had them. Stop. Have seen lights in graveyard. Stop. Think tunnel exits there. And then the Morse code message said what we said it said. All right, so we don't need this strictly anymore. We've got it in our notes. Hopefully we've got it where we can find it. There you have it. So that's where we left off last night. Let me reorganize this and check in with the chat, see if there's anything else we need to talk about. We tried to decode, oh yeah, we do have one more thing to talk about. Let me catch up and then I'll talk about the bus tickets theories. Petiel says, if I'm pronouncing her name right, Petiel, where are you from? Where is that name from? It's not an American name. I do have to say, I love the idea of using women's craft to get around the presumed male censors. Any knitter would know how nonsense those patterns are. Very clever, very nice. I agree. Jonathan, shout out to Nicole and Tina for being on a team that beat a holiday-themed puzzle hunt in a day. And Tina says, Olga, Roberto, Nicola were brilliant in the hunt. It was a lot of fun and great teamwork. Jonathan and Tina are talking about a puzzle-solving group in the Discord, in their own Discord, but you can find that Discord on the Co-op for Two Discord. So if you really like those puzzles, you might want to stop by and check out that. Okay. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about that we tried to do last night was Anna made a very clever discovery. Petiel says, I'm from California. Petiel is just a botanical term I like. it's the connection of leaf to stem. I see. Okay, so it's a nickname. Okay, so Anna had an observation that was very clever. We've got, let's see, we've got the bus tickets. Okay, let's get out the bus tickets, and then we'll open up, and then I think we'll open up our next box. All right, so where are our bus tickets? They were in letter 2, box 2. All right, so we've got these tickets. They're labeled 1, 2, 3. They've got punch outs, which we suspect has to do with a grill. In fact, they've already used a grill. Penny has used a grill, and that's where you've got cutouts that you put over something and you read the letters that come through it, which is what we did and got her message from Penny to Lizzie that said murderer at Latimer. That was a May 19th letter she sent to Lizzie that never arrived. So we suspect that these are from Lizzie to Penny attempting to do the same thing. And we were a little thrown off because we got these tickets in a box that had a letter from Elizabeth on December. But when we trace back to the letter she sent with these, we get a letter from our first box. A short letter. Now, one of the things we talked about is you'd have to agree on what document these are for. And at first we said, we don't think she mentioned it. But actually, Anna says, go back to that letter that these tickets we think are related to. They are from the 18th of May, which is what our newspaper is from. And she mentions the newspaper. It's in this censored thing. She said, the newspaper today says we're getting visitors and our boss is going to leave out the newspaper for them to see. So there is a mention of a newspaper. And then Anna had very clever observation. She said, look at this sentence. One day we'll be able to visit London again by bus and share a bottle of Bordeaux. And Anna said, that sounds weird. Like, why are you mentioning Bordeaux? Then we read this all together, and it seemed even more suspicious because we already noticed this statement about, did you say your runner's name was Washington? We knew that was a little odd. Like, is that trying to hint about something? But we didn't sort of connect it. Then when we back up and read these whole 3 statements, they feel very wrong. First of all, one day we'll be able to visit London again by bus. Like, why is she mentioning bus? And then, we've got 3 places listed. London, Bordeaux, Washington. That feels weird. Then we took another look at the tickets. And sure enough, these are bus tickets. So it makes us all the more confident that these are related to this. It's hints about how to use these, where to use them. And we went back in the newspaper and we spent a very frustrating hour trying to figure out how to lay these over certain articles to try to get a message. And this front page article, Bordeaux is without gas or water, really seemed to suggest that we were on the right trail. But then we hit a roadblock, or we hit a dead end. We just could not, like, this does feel like it's the right size, but then do you put it here? It kind of goes over these letters, I and G. Of course, you could put it this way, and then you'd get T and A. But Bordeaux isn't the first one mentioned, actually. London is mentioned, then Washington. So we think Bordeaux is actually the 2. So it could go this way and just give us the S. Well, okay, that's relatively convincing. But then when we went into trouble, first of all, we looked for articles that started with Washington and London. We didn't find any starting with Washington, but we do see this one, which has got Washington in the title. Washington was the third place mentioned, so we thought, okay, if we line this up the same way the second ticket is, should we line up with the top of the headline? Then what do you get? HT. That seems reasonable enough, and then we really ran into trouble, though, which is this one should line up with London. And there's London in a bunch of places, but none of them so cleanly line up. So we did make note that if this is the right idea, that the 2 maps to an S, the 3 maps to an HT. Already we've got a trouble because we don't know what possible word she could be spelling, but maybe we jumped to conclusions to rule this out too quickly. Maybe she's not spelling a word. Maybe it's something else. But then we got into trouble because our 1 should map to London then. On the front page, we've got a small London thing here, and then another headline here. I guess if I had to guess, it would make more sense that this one is much more like Bordeaux, Washington, London. It would make more sense that these are related, and this is in the headline. So, but if you try to take the 1 and line it up in the same way, you basically get nothingness. Now our 3 lined up the top with this, the top of the headline bar with this. That's how we got this. But also this is on top of the Washington, and the S was on top of the line with Bordeaux. So maybe this should line up just with the word London. Now, when you do that, what do you get? Half of an N. So now you see why we sort of ran into trouble with this. Then we tried all sorts of stuff. The channel was like, no, just line 1, 2, 3 like this, but that doesn't make sense. There's no mention of London. So we basically struggled with that for a long time, and we did not succeed. There's mentions of London in the title here, but it didn't seem like there was any solid, systematic way to do it. And that's it. People wanted to go look for articles mentioning all 3. It just didn't make sense. So let's tuck in with the chat before we move on. Jonathan says, maybe Antina and Anna are both partially right. Maybe you do have to use all 3 tickets on an individual headline, but maybe you use all 3 tickets together or for 3 different headlines. Using all 3 on an individual headline will generate 1 word. Doing all 3 headlines will give us 3 words. Does it match on the small print where it says news? And maybe try to align them vertically like the numbers. This is all stuff we tried to do. I'm willing to try the vertical again. The problem with the idea of applying it each one to each headline 3 times is it's implausible. Remember that this is a real newspaper, and so you wouldn't be able to make a nice message by using all 3 of these once here, once here, once here. The chances of you being able to make a message make sense in the same positions in 3 articles is just not possible. If we try to do these vertically, our 1 was our London. So the thing is, where do you want to put this? How do you do it vertically? Remember, this is not a planted newspaper. This is a real newspaper, so you don't have choice over it. You can't construct this text to match this as a designer. You have to do what someone would really have to do when giving out a message, which is create a ticket to arbitrarily pick out things. And then I started getting very angry at Lizzie and wishing her ill for coming up with this code, which is so ambiguous in terms of how to decode it. So I don't think you could use it on one of these things, but it just doesn't make sense. And then we tried to think of, well, what about if the numbers where the punches were significant, but then this one is not where there's a number, and either is this one. Only one place 3 times, says Antina. That makes no sense to me. But, I mean, why would you mention in the letter London, Bordeaux, Washington? How could you possibly only intend these for this Bordeaux headline? That would not make any sense. But we could try it. Let's say it's at the Bordeaux. Then you get IGS and WE. IGSWE. IGSWE. Okay, so that doesn't spell anything, and you'd have no systematic way to do it. Okay, so then Dispaminite was saying, I was asking if one article mentioned all 3 places. Someone suggested that, and Tina is suggesting it, and Dispaminite. We can't, what I said before holds today. We cannot be expected to read this entire newspaper again with a fine-tooth comb, looking for an article that happens to mention all 3 places. That would just be craziness and much too much work, but also, and much too much work to expect the receiver to do. But also, you might even say, okay, be smart about it. What's the odds that Bordeaux is going to come up again in an article about Washington and London? It's very unlikely. So anyway, we are not going to try to solve this. And Tina says there's something in the paper that mentions, that's a summary of the news. And Petiol is saying, I agree that there should be a clearer comment about London. The other thing maybe we should consider, there's a place with recap of news, was there? There is a comment here, maybe you're thinking of this. Morning war news, Germany, Italy, France, but there is Bordeaux mentioned here. United States, Washington. Ooh, hold on a second here. But no mention of England. This is tempting though, because this morning war news has a mention of Bordeaux. A mention of Washington. That's our Washington article and our Bordeaux article. No mention of London, though. How could you use that here? That's interesting. Okay, so our 2 was Bordeaux. So how would you use that here if you tried to use this Bordeaux? What would you do? You don't really have a way to do it. Okay. Let's put this aside. I think one of the things we're learning about the philosophy of this game is that it's purposefully designed, and in a justifiably reasonable way, that you don't use all the items in a box right away. So we shouldn't get totally hung up at trying to solve this ticket code yet. It may be that a later box explains it more clearly and gives us more hints, which would make sense. So let's not go crazy. let me put these things back where they belong, and let's start some new work here. There's our Morse code from our third box. So I'm trying to put everything back away where it came from. This was our tickets was into. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, everything is back in its folder. Let's see. And Tina says, seems like the tickets would make up a 5-letter word. How would that even help us? I agree with you. That's confusing. And Tina says, I think maybe it does go there, and the holes are big enough for words, not only letters. 5 letters might be too few. Okay. Let's do one last thing, though. I said we were going to move on, but I do think maybe we should look at that smaller crossword and make sure that there aren't clues that add up to Washington, Bordeaux, and London, in which case maybe it goes on the crossword. But okay, let's spend one more moment here with our ticket stubs on the newspaper. We'll look at Antina's theory, and then we'll look at the crossword puzzle, and then let's move on. Okay, so Antina was saying maybe these show individual words. Okay, but one was London, and there's no London here. That makes it seem very unlikely that it would go there. But then here's Bordeaux. Okay, so what do you think you would do with this for Bordeaux? First of all, does it go this way? Does it go this way? All right, where's our Bordeaux? France. Okay, so what would you want to do with this? How would you expect to do it? Where would you put this over Bordeaux? On what basis would you decide where to put it? Imagine you're communicating this code. What's the rule for this code? There's just no way to do it. There's no logical way to decide where to put this. And this is not going to, first of all, look, they're all circles. Is every word it covers going to be exactly fit in there? It doesn't make sense. All right, I don't see a way to make it work, to make it logical. So let's move on, but let's take a look at this for a second. So we tried to imagine, what if you could line this up? Does it line up here? It really doesn't. But if you were to fill this in, remember, we don't think that Lizzie has control over these numbers. We think these are real bus tickets, so we don't think she could hide a code in there. But if one of these clues said London, Bordeaux, and maybe we could let them line up, but they don't seem to. Are they all London Bridge route? Well, that's London Bridge. Where's my... Okay, I think we're done here. I think we're done with this for now, but I will answer that question. Did they all say London Bridge route? Let's look at a blow up. Okay, this one says London Bridge route. Actually, this says London Fringe route. This one says London Transport buses. And this one doesn't say. Actually says London Fringe route. But this is the one that isn't punched where there are numbers. Okay, anyway, let us be more disciplined and stop trying to solve this right away. There's no guarantee that it is solvable yet, even. And even if it is, maybe we're going to get some hints from Lizzie about how to solve it later. All right, anything we need to talk about before we open up box 4? I think we'll take a break before we open up. This 50 minutes we've spent recapping and revisiting. But that's appropriate. We are taking this game seriously. Let's see if there's anything else that anyone wanted to mention from box 3. The other thing we need to consider, which is odd, is that whatever, if it's a 5-letter word or a 5-word message, it's essentially the earliest encrypted message that Lizzie is sending to Penny, right? Look at the other messages were sent on... Actually, that's not true. I take it back. On 17th of April, she sent the note about Gretchen's diaries. And then on 30 May, she sent the coded note message. And this message with the bus tickets is actually 18 May. So it actually is in between the two. So I guess she has already started sending secret messages by that time. Okay. It's all the same time as the woodblock polyominoes. Yes, that's right. The bus tickets and the woodblock polyominoes are all from May 18th, all confiscated the same. Anna Garcia says, it looks like the width of the ticket fits exactly into the War News summary column. Well, it fits into all of the columns in the paper, basically. All of the columns in the paper are the same width. Well, not all of them, but all of the small ones. So, but this is the much more likely column for Bordeaux. This is the much more likely column for Washington. This seems like the likely column for London. It's possible that there's some other piece of the code that tells you what line it's at. What if the 1, 2, 3 has to do with the line number? No, surely it's the reconstruction order. Anyway, okay, stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop working on this. We've given it enough time. It's time to move on. We'll come back to it. We're not gonna end the case without solving it. We will solve it. We will spend whatever time is needed to solve it. It's just we're not going to do it today. All right, we're going to take a break now for 8 minutes, our first break. When we come back, we'll open up box 4. In the meantime, during the break, refresh your coffee, tea, and let me know if there's anything that I haven't recapped that you think I should before we get started on the new box. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, here we go. Box 4. No one in the chat has told me there's anything that I should have recapped that I didn't. So we're going to proceed. Okay, box 4 of 12, 1/3 of the way through after we finish it. All right, here's our letter from the investigators. With the details obtained from last month's letters, our research team have been combing through the National Archives for any further mention of Elizabeth Phillips and her friends. We've located 10 documents that we have decided to photocopy and forward to you as part of our ongoing investigation. Some of these documents mention Elizabeth directly, others do not, but our research team believe they relate closely to the work she was undertaking at the time. While looking through the archives, 2 further censored and redacted letters came to light, and we have enclosed these for your perusal. Soon after we shipped last month's bundle of letters to you, we found 3 small strips of paper hidden in the folds of the original envelope. I'm sorry, these were omitted from the first dispatch, but the team had failed to notice them at the bottom of the package. Our team continued to work in the archives and hope to have a further set of documents for your interest. So remember, the phrasing of last month's letters was that they were being forwarded to us by Miss Megan Deverell, who passed on letters from Penny Vinnick's archive, her grandmother, from 1942 to 1943. So this letter is saying, hey, in that package that Penny Vinnick's granddaughter sent, there were a couple strips of paper that they didn't notice until now. Two letters from Elizabeth that they've dug up. 3 strips of paper that they missed in our previous package, and 10 photocopied documents from the archives. Okay. Here is our folder where we're going to keep letter 4. Okay, let's see what we've got. Aha! Okay. So I can tell you at just glancing at this what this is. Okay. Who can tell me 3 strips of paper? Let's go through them in a turn for a second. Who can tell me what this is? I believe from my rudimentary experimentation, my rudimentary search, the channel identified the Russian message. Well, the channel identified that the message was in fact in Cyrillic alphabet. Where is that? The coded Russian message. Okay, let's get this out. Okay, so clearly this is related to this. I thought, now that AN looks like a mirror reversed AN. Channel said, nope, that's Cyrillic. So what are we looking at here? We think, our suspicion is that there may be some Caesar cipher involved. What's this? This is the alphabet. This, I believe, is the Cyrillic alphabet. Is it in order? Is this just giving us the order of the Russian Cyrillic alphabet? I believe that's what it is. I could be wrong. They could be giving us a specific order, but my guess, well, no, maybe this. Interesting. So look what's happened here. She split it. Why has she split it up? Because I think this is meant to help us solve a Caesar cipher where we might do something like this, which would be a Caesar cipher rotation of 5. Now, I thought I experimented with that and failed, but I believe that's what's happened, that we've got the Cyrillic alphabet on the top and then repeat it again here with a cut to let you shift it exactly this many. You could shift it this way, which would be a +5, or you could shift it that way, which would, no. You could shift it this way, which would be +5, or you could negative shift it. Well, I guess you can't really negative shift it. So there you have it. So the idea would be you shift this letter with the Caesar cipher in Russian alphabet, and then you translate it. Now, I thought that I tried that online. During a break, we can try it again. But one reason it may have failed is if this isn't the order of the Cyrillic alphabet that I used. Or maybe I just overlooked something. Okay, so that should help us there. Let's put that aside. We'll deal with it. Can we deal with it later? I think we'll deal with it later. Okay, let's look at the other documents we have here, since there's lots of them. We talked about in the beginning that the first 2 boxes seemed awfully thin. It feels like the boxes are getting serious. Like the boxes now, box 3 and box 4 were filled with information. Remember, for those of you tempted to go work on that deciphering the Russian message on your own, don't do it. Don't do it. You have to wait. We'll do it together. Let's go through the rest of this first. Okay, 15 October. This is two more letters from Lizzie that they came across. Okay, here's the first. What's happening down here? Dear Penny, did you get the little cookbook I sent? Here's our book code. Here's our book code. Did you get the little cookbook I sent the other week? I know you don't always get to cook your own meals, but maybe you can now take a turn with the other girls you share with. Mother always makes potato pie when I go home. It's easy, and I'd suggest you start with that one because I know what your cooking skills are like. Then she says, how are things progressing with Rupert? Or should I forget you mentioned him the last time we saw each other? Do they have a Halloween dance at, this probably says Bletchley Park. I won't get to go this year. I'm busy in London that weekend. I'm hoping I won't miss all the dances. I would like to see how Carl dances. He might have 2 left feet for all I know. Does Rupert dance? Okay. Let's just make sure this does say Bletchley. It does. That's the cryptography place that Penny works. Okay, so this is going to be a book code. Remember, a book code works by having a shared book between the sender and the receiver, and the code tells you how to locate the word in the book by specifying a location. So let's get it out. Okay, so any back to this? Yes. We really should meet up again. I could do with your help with a problem. You know what I'm like at problem solving. 2 heads are better than 1. Although the girls are good here, they aren't a patch on you. Okay, so we've got two clues about this. We've got pairs of numbers. Normally you would need three numbers, basically page number, line number, word number, or page number, paragraph number, word number, assuming you're working with words. But she does make another clue here, potato pie. So I wonder if these aren't all dealing all on that page with the potato pie. Let's see. Where is our potato pie? We should agree to make one of these. Okay, here's our potato pie. Okay, so all of these codes may be dealing with potato pie, or there could be some system like you start at potato pie and then you move for each one. What did she say? I suggest you start with that one. All right, let's see. And then if you had to guess, you'd probably guess that they go this way. Do they follow any pattern? No. Okay, so 6-2. Let's see what we've got here. What would we expect? Maybe sixth line, second word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more. Okay. Let's see. Next is 3, 3 from 11, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More from about. More from about. It will be a useful tool for some of these things, like a whole bunch of printed numbered lines, line numbers of different heights that you could line up here to make it easier to count. Okay, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2. More from about 2. 2, 2 would be together. Okay, I'm not sure about this. 10, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 together overlapping. 6, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Necessary. Did I mistranslate that one? 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sounds like she's describing those two Russian Cyrillic things. 1, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 6, 2. Trim a little more. More from about. 2 together, overlapping, necessary, 2, trim a little more. 11, 5 should be 30. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. 11, 5 should be 30. More from 32 together, overlapping, necessary. I must have translated something wrong here. It doesn't quite seem right. 32, is that going to be our alphabet size? Let me just count that. Alphabet is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32 letters in our alphabet. So that's what she's talking about. And did I more from 32? Did I mistranslate anything else? Overlapping necessary. Uh-huh. That's interesting. I wonder if she's saying it's not a pure Caesar cipher, it's something else. More from 32. And then the next word was over. 2, 2 is together. 10, 4. Overlapping. This would be easier if I Xeroxed it and got to write on it. Trying not to write on these always makes it harder, but this is so expensive we have to be able to trade this afterwards. 7, 8, 9, 10, 4. Okay, I guess this is right. Does anyone want to jump in and tell me any other mistakes I made? Overlapping necessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Overlapping necessary. This was our 6, 5. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Overlapping 2. 8, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Trim. 1, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trim a little more. All right. More from 32. Together, overlapping necessary to trim a little more. I mean, it clearly is talking about that Russian code. It's written in October. I just wish it made a little more clear sense here. More from 32. Together, overlapping necessary to trim a little more. Well, let's make a note that this is from our October 15, 1943 letter from Lizzie to Penny. If it didn't make any sense, then we would try to find some logic to the book code not being entirely in potato pie, but everything seems to suggest it's here. So maybe the second line is too phonetic, necessary to trim a little more. Necessary to trim a little more. I think that's a very, that makes a lot of sense. That you're saying she used the word TWO, but she just means to. Yeah. Overlapping necessary to trim a little more. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's just a hint about that Caesar cipher. Maybe we don't need to know any more than its little hint here about overlapping and trimming. Maybe it's saying we need to make another cut somewhere before we overlap, but there is no indication of how to do it. Yes, it would make sense why an initial attempt to do a Caesar cipher didn't work, but we'll worry about that later. Let's continue on. Dear Penny, this is August 1st. You will have read the news about Hamburg. I lay awake last night thinking I could hear bombs dropping. I remember the blitz, the terror of not knowing if we would wake the next day. Then she says, Mother says something will have relatives over there. My father's family and friends. She grew up with at school. Why is that censored out? My father says we will have relatives over there. My father's family and his friends. Yes, he grew up with at school. I wonder if they survived. I have met a police inspector recently. They interviewed me about, this is going to be about Gretchen's death. They interviewed me about the lady found on the grounds here. No one knows who it is. They think he died? The body. Interviewed me about the body found on the grounds. No one knows who it is. But then she says they think he died long before I arrived. Another body. I do not know why the inspector wanted to speak to me. Perhaps he thought my absence visiting Mother seemed suspicious. He asked about the tunnel between the house and the church. I didn't tell him anything. I don't really know anything to tell. How are things with you? Any news on our mutual problem? Wow, look at that. So this might be the letter where she eventually says it was a civilian. So we've got another person, a body found, who was killed before she even arrived. Chat is correcting me. We still have, not will have. We still have relatives over there. Okay, let me just clarify that. Mother says, I see. She's not saying guests, not saying we will have guests. She's saying, my mother says we still have relatives over there. My father's family and friends he grew up with in school. Okay, so they're saying in Hamburg, they have relatives there, and Hamburg must have gotten bombed. Hamburg. But killed before she arrived. The body was just discovered, though. Okay, and they asked about the tunnel. She says, I'll be in London more regularly soon with work. Perhaps we can arrange a few meetings if you get leave. I'll be busy most evenings, but perhaps afternoon tea when it's convenient. Drop me a postcard or something to let me know next time you're traveling into the city. It would be good to catch up. Dorothy and Neely both send their love, and I may have another well-wisher soon. We'll tell you more if things progress. So remember, this letter comes intermediate with the 13 letters we have, which go to December. The chat is reminding me something that I completely forgot that was important. Dorian says, having relatives over there might explain why she eventually went to Germany to stay with them. Dorian says, I don't remember if it was Hamburg she went to or if that location was different and not, we don't know where she is in Germany, but thank you for reminding me that Hamburg is in Germany. So she's talking about Hamburg, Germany being bombed, and now she's saying we still have family over there. Okay, that is important to note. She's talking about the family having friends in Germany. And then the dead body. Okay. Doesn't seem like there's any coded message here. Mentions the tunnel. Well, she's mentioned the tunnel a couple times. She mentioned the tunnel right when she arrived, that there's rumors of tunnel. Now we know explicitly, actually, what we've learned explicitly here for the first time is that the tunnel seems confirmed, but tunnel goes to the church, is what she says. And remember, from the encrypted message, she talks about lights in the graveyard. So graveyard of the church. Well, we knew she had German heritage. I just forgot. I just missed that this is talking about a bombing in Germany. Okay. All right. Doesn't feel, I feel like we've handled the letters. Let's see. We've got now 10 documents that they photocopied for us. Looks like we've got more encrypted messages, more Russian messages. Let's see if we can identify August, September. They're all out of order. I'll try to put them in order before we read them. November 42, September 42. No date on this one. November 42. April 43. January 43. August 43. 2 on August. And September 43. Okay, so these are in order. What about this one? Okay, no date on this one. But let's see what it is. Marconi Radio Telegraph Company of London. Brigadier Menzies, SIS. Colonel Kendrick, SCDIC. Commercial Register. Male body found within grounds of Latimer House during foundation excavation for new accommodation block. Stop. Investigation underway. Stop. Suspect body to be that of missing CSDIC personnel, Sergeant Percival Raper. Stop. Military police informed. Stop. Operation Spring Team informed. Stop. Okay, so we can date this approximately because it sounds like it would be right before this letter where the inspector came. So probably that letter was August 1943. So probably we think, let's see, that letter was 1st of August. So probably this happened a little bit before. So we think probably sometime July 1943. Maybe the end of July. So this gets sent out as soon as they discover the body, then they start interviewing people. So we got a couple of information. We got who they think this is. someone who is missing, Sergeant Percival Raper. And also we're told that this investigation has a code name of Spring. Operation Spring. Colonel Kendrick is who's sending this to Brigadier Sergeant Menzies. Okay, and it explains in what context they found the body. Makes sense. Anything I need to look at? No mention as to how long the body was there, but it must be recent. It's not too recent, but we may find out based on when this person went missing, when they think the body is from. Okay, let's go through these now. Dorian says, reply via POC, point of contact, or via Marconi. Marconi must be on the case. Maybe. Interesting. Okay. It's Marconi Radio Telegraph Company. So he's saying reply somehow or through Marconi Telegraph Company. Or POC, Post Office Cable. Reply via Post Office Cable or via Marconi Radio Telegraph. That's our POC and Marconi. Okay. Let's start going through these. Okay, September 1942. Where's our timeline? So, the month before Lizzie arrives, we're reading a document from 2 weeks before Lizzie arrives. Yeah? 2 weeks before Lizzie arrives is this. 29 September. She gets there October. Okay, so before Lizzie arrives. Operational report, missing staff member. Oh, here we go. Sergeant Gretchen Meyer failed to report for duty at Latimer House on 24 September. Negative result from search conducted within base and Chalfont for missing officer. Uniform and possessions remain in situ in accommodation block. In other words, they're still there where they were last found, their last natural location. Known associate Amelia Mazur, unable to explain Meyer's absence. Next of kin contacted. However, Sergeant Meyer has made no approaches. He hasn't approached the family. Last seen visiting Chalfont on the evening of the 23rd of September. Request investigation team be assigned, and it's signed by the head of the base, Townsend. Okay, so what have we got here? Gretchen has gone missing. She's gone missing on 24 September, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before Elizabeth arrives. And Gretchen's friend, we now know her last name, Gretchen Meyer. Can we add that to our notes? And now we know that Amelia Mazur is her known associate. And that sounds like the person referenced in this coded message that says, Emily says, Gretchen's diaries have been taken. So I'm thinking that this is this Amelia. Sorry, I'm thinking Amelia is Emily. Gretchen Meyer. Okay, well now we know when she was dead. That's not the new body that they found, though. Well, Amelia is not missing. And the letter about Amelia is not for 6 or 7 months from here. Okay, let's put that aside. Let's read the next one. Okay, so now we're fast forwarding to after Elizabeth's been there for a while. This is to Menzies, the person who's... Menzies is the Brigadier Sergeant Menzies, I guess. From Rieger. 3 Luftwaffe aircraft shot down during Operation Torch. Stop. Pilots retrieved and detained. Stop. Suggest return to London for interrogation. Alert Kendrick and arrange transport. M. Rieger. Who's Rieger? Is it Rieger? Piger? What does that actually say? It's an R or P. And it's the name of this person sending this is M. Rieger, M. Piger. We're learning about a bunch of operations. Maybe we need to start writing them down. We've got Operation Torch. We've got Operation Spring. Is that it? Or do we have any more? This could be the M from DMK on our first... maybe. I think the DMK might be Dear Mr. Whatever. I think it might not be someone. But okay. Keep track of our operations here. We'll add that to the notes at some point. Okay, here is... that was on the 11th of November, and now we've got 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks later. Reassignment. Request that the following individuals be reassigned to M room duties effective immediately. Neely Fitz, Elizabeth Phillips, Rosa Boer, Gus Feltz, Eliza Nosniak, and Famke Voss. Request new officers be recruited for typing pool. Okay, well, Elizabeth was initially assigned to the typing pool, and she has been waiting for a transfer out of there, and she's got it. These women have been moved to some other operation, M room duties. All right. So on 28 November 1942, Lizzie and friends transferred to M room. We don't know what that is, but it's different job than typing. All right. Chat says, we were expecting a reassignment for Elizabeth. At least she wasn't a good typist. Yes. Okay. Next letter. 4 January 1943. Memo to Colonel Kendrick. Overcrowding within facilities is proving problematic for listeners in identification of voices due to overlap and background noise. Suggest returning to occupation levels to no more than 2 per room. Recommend review of current residents and removal of assets not deemed useful. There is an urgent need for a reliable system to aid identification of valuable prisoners. This will reduce occupation levels while maintaining quality intelligence from the M rooms. I have Phillips, Goldstein, and Kohler collating list of candidates suitable for transfer to other facilities. Will provide list for approval in next 24 hours. Okay. So what's happening here? They're housing all the POWs at Latimer House. They've got space to house a certain number. The more they pack in there, the harder it is for Lizzie and others listening to pick out who's who and transcribe. So this guy is saying, Townsend, the chief of Latimer House, is saying, look, we gotta winnow down to just the important prisoners so that we can have a better shot at capturing everything they say. Too many people, we can't keep track of them. We can't record what they're saying. So M rooms sound like the high priority rooms where they're housing the prisoners with good quality conversation. And he says we should put 2 per room, then we can just capture that. And that makes sense based on that V2 rocket conversation that Lizzie transcribed. I forget what document was that here. Room 16. So maybe this is one of the M rooms. And these are 2 prisoners talking. This is from March of 1943. So a couple months after this, she picked up that. Okay. Dorian says, there's a book called The M Room, Secret Listeners Who Bugged the Nazis in World War II. Okay, so it sounds like we might want to actually look that up, that this is based on a true story, that you're bugging the Nazi POWs, and M stood for mic'd, the mic'd room. That makes complete sense. Okay, very interesting. And it says, I guess M room is the listening room. So it sounds like if you like this case, you could go get that book and read about the true story of the secret listeners who bugged the Nazis. Pretty cool. Lots of real history in this case. Okay, next letter is from March. So a couple months later. Coded note intercepted in Chalfont, as per current standing order, replaced with similarly coded note with agreed information. Original attached for reference. The coded note, and they decoded it. Translation: German scientists have produced unpiloted projectile capable of hitting targets at great distance. Base of operation is in Peenemünde. Okay, so they've captured a spy sending Russian coded message in Chalfont, the town that's near Latimer House. They've decoded it to this, which is about the V2 rocket. So here's what we've got. We've got a spy at Latimer who is also overhearing the conversations or is getting the transcripts and sending them to a Russian handler. So this message that Lizzie transcribed, it sounds like the Russian spy saw it, or it could be Lizzie herself, and is sending a message to somewhere. We don't know where, though. But this date could be important. If we could track Lizzie's movements, we could see if she was in town on March 3rd. That would help us identify if we think Lizzie could be the person. Now, we have kept some notes, but I don't know if we've been super careful about reading the letters about where she is. But on our to-do list, what we might want to add is Lizzie talks about when she's in town, when she meets up with Penny. So track Lizzie's movements especially March 3rd, 1943. It would be nice to know if she says, all the girls were in town, I was at work. That might help us rule her out or in, alibi her. And then I'm just going to say, with respect to March 3rd, top secret intercept from box 4. Our little to-do notes. All right, now, what's this? Is this, or is this the replacement? Is this the actual message? Does this match up with this? Let's just do a quick look. Well, looks like not only is it this exact message. So here's what they found, and here it is typed. This is nice. It's giving us a typed version of this, so we could better compare. I wonder if, like, that looks like, is it not saying M, room M, but that's not part of the translation. Oh, I see. It's in code. Okay, anyway, it looks like this is a direct transcription of this. Sorry, this coded note is this. And then they've decoded it. So we could use this to figure out if we're right. Well, I guess we could take a quick look at that. Let's just take a quick look right away, because they've given us, obviously, they've given us lots of hints of how to decode this. So let's see if it is a simple Caesar cipher. Let's see if I can do this. Just doing this to straighten it out. We'll make a scan of this on our next break so that we don't have to keep dealing with these pieces of paper. Okay, so let me just, there's our N. All right, so the N mapped to the uppercase H. Let's see. So actually the N mapped to the H. So if that's right, then however she cut this is not quite helpful. Because this part has to go over to this part. Assuming it's shifted forward, let's just see if that's actually right. So the N went to the H. Okay. Let me just see if I can find more confirmation that that's all that's happening here. Let's see. We need to find something that's okay. So there's the O on this word mapped to the Y below it. Okay. What about our M? There's our M here mapped to the C. Okay, so what it is it's a plus, it's a +5. Oh, this goes here. This goes here. This would get cut and get put here. It's just a regular Caesar cipher. Can we do it this way? No, that won't work. Okay. So I guess we can just do it that way. So there's our code from top to bottom, our Caesar cipher shift. So you go from that, you decode it by looking at the number below it, which is just +5 Caesar cipher. Then you translate. So this should be able to let us do it online. I don't know why it didn't work though. Unless they changed it. Maybe they're changing it each time. We don't know. However, the fact that this lines up perfectly seems like, oh, look at that. It's even colored here to show us as a hint that that's where you break it. Okay, so everything was designed to be a little hint for us. Okay, so presumably we should be able to translate this now. I have already written down this, so I'm going to put this off for a bit. We'll still do this. We'll do it on a break a little bit. And that way I don't have to use the tablet and stuff. Try to figure out how to do that while we're live. I'll do it during a little break. Let's continue our reading through these notes here. April 19th. So a month and a little bit later. Transcript from room 5. 2 more people talking. I missed the girls from Levensburn or whatever. Did you have access? Anyone who is a purebred does. You are looking at a military breeding ball. Yes. Yeah? Come on. What have you got that I don't? There is then some discussion on various physical merits each individual has. Was it expensive? No. There was no stud fee. We are serving the Fuhrer. Can you choose the girl? No. It is not a common brothel. Besides, the selection is better. They're talking about some brothel where you can meet up with purebred women to breed with. That's kind of crazy. Is that real? You are looking at a military breeding ball. Weird. This just seems like this top says eugenics. I guess they're just saying here's a note. This is a discussion about breeding place to get matched up. Someone thinks there's something else. It feels like it's just flavor, little flavor text. Top secret memo, August. So another couple months have passed. Look at what's underneath though here. Operation what? What is this? Operation Ezekiel. So we've got a third operation we're learning about. Operation Ezekiel. And maybe I should start keeping track of where we hear about these. This is in our August 20 top secret box 4. The others, where was Operation Torch from? Operation Torch is November 11th, 1942. Sorry, that was Operation Torch. November 11th, 1942 document. What was Operation Spring? Can someone remind me? Was that in one of her letters? Was she talking about Operation Spring? Or was it our telegram? No, that was our... Just want to make sure we keep Operation Spring. Okay, so Operation Spring was our telegraph. Okay, I want to keep track of where these operations were discussed. Okay, what have we got here? Attached note was found in a letter written to Penny Vinnick from Elizabeth Phillips, August 1943. This appears to be a simple letter substitution code, as the code was loose in the envelope. The letter itself was forwarded on without enclosure. August 1943. You know what I think this is? This is a hint on how to decode our substitution cipher that we already managed to do ourselves. Is that right? No, it's not a key to our substitution cipher. I wonder if this isn't its own... What does this guy say? Appears to be a simple letter substitution code. The letter itself was forwarded on. Okay, well, I thought at first we were expecting this to be a key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's clearly not a key because there's lots of repeats. So this is probably an encoded message, but it looks, he says substitution cipher, but feels like this would be a Caesar cipher to me, and there's a double letter here. So the question is, what letter are they talking about here? Or is that our postcard? No, they said the letter got forwarded on. Okay, let's see. August 43, huh? Ah, this was our Caesar cipher letter. So I was right. It's a Caesar cipher. The August 1943 is when she mentions river to arena, right? Whoops. Oh, I see. It's the cubes. River to arena and snow bunny. This was our plus 17 Caesar cipher is what we've got here. So I think what we're looking at here is the plus 17 Caesar cipher. Let us see if we can't confirm that with our cipher wheel. Okay, so if we're Snow Bunny, so the S goes to B, inner to outer. So Y goes to H, R goes to A, M goes to V, V goes to E. Okay, so we've got it right. We've got have. Okay, I goes to R, L goes to U, C goes to L, V goes to E, U goes to D, have ruled. Next up, F goes to O, L goes to U, K is going to go to T, have ruled out. Let's see, where are we? K goes to T, we're here, okay. X goes to G, L goes to U, L goes to U, J goes to S. Oh, she's ruling out people. Remember the list of people that got transferred to room M? These were people on the list. Goose was one of the people on the list. Okay. W goes to N. V goes to E. C goes to L. K goes to D. V goes to E. N-E-L-T, is that right? Then we've got a J. N-E-L-T-S. Did I mistranslate that? W goes to F. V goes to E. Feltz. Goose and Feltz. Where was our list of who got transferred? There we go. There's Feltz. Goose Feltz. So she's ruled out Goose Feltz as being the spy. So this operative here said it's a substitution cipher, which in a way a Caesar cipher is. It's just Caesar cipher is much simpler. And this explains our discussion of Snow Bunny or whatever it was being a plus 17 shift. Okay, so good. That's that solved. And we've got more confirmation that the way this game works is the information in one box, you should not expect to be able to solve it within that box or use it. Okay, so let me put this back in order. I think it was 28 November, 11 November. We're going this way. Okay, so that was good. So if you're keeping track of who she's trying to track down, this Russian spy, she's ruled out Gus. It certainly seems to suggest also that it's not Elizabeth. I mean, she wouldn't be trying so hard to track down the person if it was her, you would think. And let's just make a note for our Russian cipher. Looks like Caesar +5. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back in 8 minutes. This is a fun box. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back, checking in with the chat. Torch was the Allied invasion of North Africa, so the Germans needed info about that. Perry says, I'm curious about the Russian connection here. At this point in time, the Americans and British were working with the Russians, so why need for a Russian spy? Well, let's remember, they were working together, the Russians, as part of the Allies, but it was always they were suspicious of each other and spying on each other and very wary of what was going to happen after the war to make sure one of that Russia didn't. So they were suspicious of each other and spying on each other all the while. They did not want to share atomic bomb information, etc. Okay, so I spent a little bit of time on the Russian code now. I didn't get it fully decoded, but let's show some progress. So the first step, rather than have to do this by hand, was trying to get this OCR'd. And I found a bunch of sites that did OCR, but you can see it's absolutely not perfect at all. There was one site that did it. That was another try at it. This was Google Lens's try at it. There's uppercase and lowercase. Again, still not perfect though, but the Google Lens one looked a little bit better to me. Then I tried to get that converted to uppercase. That's because I'm having a hard time finding Caesar ciphers that know how to properly use the Russian alphabet. So that's possible that that may have introduced some problems in the translation. So it looks reasonable. And then I've got the Russian alphabet. One site gave me this. This seems like it's got an extra letter, though, which is causing trouble. Either that or I'm reading it wrong. Here's our 32-bit 32 alphabet, which we could test to make sure lines up with this. When I used that and did a minus, now I did a -5. I thought originally that we thought it was a +5 to decode to, which is a little confusing to me. I thought we decided that N goes to H. So this is a little confusing to me, but maybe it's because of the Caesar cipher site I went to has got it backwards. I'm not sure. Or maybe I clicked encode or something. But that Caesar shift gave me this. A 5 Caesar shift gave me this, which translates to this. So this is clearly the right thing. It is clearly a Caesar shift, but it's had a little bit of trouble here in the middle. So let's find out, let's figure out what got translated wrong. Looks like these are wrong. And then, oh no, punished is right. This feels wrong. Although HBL3, I mean, let's look at this for a second. Is that a mistranslated Russian? Yes, it's not an actual number. HBL3, those were probably just mistranslated. It didn't quite get. Seems to me no one will find him waiting for instructions. Okay. So we've got a little bit of the Russian that didn't work. This is no doubt not because it didn't decrypt well, but because the OCR didn't get these letters correct. Seem to have a lot of problems here. Could we guess? Investigation was great for me to be punished here. All right, so I did not. All right, so probably we just need to do a little bit more work going back to this. This is the OCR of it, right? So probably we just have to figure out from our message where the OCR failed. Like you can see that the OCR missed some stuff here. HA missed a bunch of stuff here. Oops, don't want to write on the original. Okay, anyway, so once we figure out what the OCR messed up on, we will be able to get this message. All right, so we've essentially solved the Russian cipher, how to do it. We just need details. Maybe I'll try to do that during the next break if I have if I can get it done in time. But we'll put that aside for now. Okay, or if someone wants to work on that, I wouldn't mind. Okay, chat is talking. Da, 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 da. For a bit of background on Soviet spies infiltrating British intelligence during World War II, see the article World War II Spies, the Soviet Cambridge Network. A few of them were considered extremely successful. And it says, yep, one thing the Soviets were good at was spying. What was, who was Philby? Was Philby a Russian plant? I mean, they got to the top positions of the British intelligence. Kim Philby was... Who is Kim Philby? Let me look this up. Philby was a mole in MI6. Philby is mentioned in that article. Yeah, he was one of the ones who became very well known. He was very high up, but was he Russian? Was Kim Philby Russian? Kim Philby was a British intelligence officer and a spy for the Soviet Union. 1963, he was revealed to be a member of the Cambridge Five, a spy ring which had divulged British secrets to Soviets during World War II and in the early stages of the Cold War. Of the five, Philby is believed to have been the most successful in providing secret information to the Soviets. There you go. Not bad. Jesse knows a little bit of the history of this stuff. I thought he was like at the top of the British MI6. How far up did he get? Maybe he wasn't as high up as I remembered. This just says he was a British intelligence officer. I thought he was like right up there, like running MI6. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he didn't get up so high. Suspected of tipping off two other spies who fled to Moscow. Went to Beirut. The Cambridge Five, that's what Dorian was telling us. Cambridge Five was a ring of spies in the United Kingdom that passed information to the Soviet Union during the Second World War. None of the known members were ever prosecuted for spying. Donald McLean and Guy Burgess escaped to the Soviet Union, leaving suspicion on Kim Philby, who eventually fled. Anthony Blunt, that was another one. John Cairncross, I don't know him. Recruited by the Soviet intelligence, the NKVD. during their education at the University of Cambridge. That's why they're called the Cambridge Five. Exact timing is debated. They were convinced Marxism-Leninism, Soviet communism was the best available political system. Okay, pretty cool. Lots of cool history in the game. I am loving this box. Dorian says, I'm a bit worried we might run into some names in the game, but maybe the designers wouldn't spoil it by using well-known members. Perry says, Philby was the deputy director. Yeah, my memory was he was very high up. Deputy director, that's crazy. Okay, let's get back to the game. Having a blast here. Okay, here we go. So August, this is another August letter. Our last one was 20 August. So here we are. I'm just putting these back in order. Here we are, 25 August. To Menzies from Colonel Kendrick. Operation Jasmine. We've got a new operation. Elizabeth Phillips reports all in operational readiness. First live test of facility for September. Generals Von Enns and Racker. Aberfeldy to escort. Phillips will play role of host at house. I will be present in M rooms to oversee first use. It sounds like they've come up with a new location that they're going to have Elizabeth listen in on them. All in operational readiness. Everything's ready to go. First live test will be the 4th of September. They've got, it seems like, 2 German generals that they're going to escort. Aberfeldy is going to escort. And then Phillips is going to play host at this house, the Jasmine House. Is that what it sounds like? So this sounds like it might be an operation to get them to talk more. Van Enns and Backer, are those the 2 we've been listening in on? We're not sure. We could try to sync that up with her letters and see if... Well, let's see, what's next? September 28th, so a month later. Top secret rockets. This is a packet. Okay, so here's a conversation. This Operation Jasmine was due to start on 4 September, but we're already here on 28 September. And it's a transcript from 25 September. It looks like Elizabeth is talking to them. Generals, do you want another glass? Yeah, of course. Vogel, how could we refuse such an offer from such a pretty lady? Oh, you flatter me, she says. Then she pours the glasses. Oft is Beffering. He says to Liberation M81. The other general says, do you think that is still likely? To Liberation. And the other general says, do you think that's still likely? And the other one says, I suspect it any day now. Things will change. You seem to be very confident about that. Huh? I have seen the rocket bombs. The rocket bombs? Unmanned, he says. We can launch them from Europe. I saw the light strips. I saw the... What does he say? the last 2 light strips. In time, we will all be able to reach any target. In time, we will be able to reach any target, even America. America? In time. Okay, so they're talking about the V2 rockets and how they're going. He's confident they're going to win because as soon as they get these finished. Okay, so this is about the rockets. As soon as Germany perfects it, they're going to win the war. This one general thinks. And these are the same 2 people we heard talking before, I think. Where's our other transcript? Where's our rocket conversation transcript? Well, this is between M11 and A77. So these are different people, but maybe they've just had their code names changed when they brought. Okay, so it's clear, though, sort of what's happening. Elizabeth is hosting them at some house that's supposed to make them feel more comfortable, and she's speaking to them in German. And they're talking about the rocket. Okay. But that's it. So we've been through all the documents from this box. It's mostly story, but we did find out the key to the Russian message, which we didn't really need that all this hints about it. We should have been able to figure it out. It was just the extra step of the extra step of having to translate it made it very hard for us to figure out. So I don't think there's more for us to do in this box. Is there something I'm missing? I mean, we've got lots of dates. We wanted to check some dates, but we did learn a lot, right? We learned that there was this death. We learned about the different operations. We read in a letter that the tunnel goes to the church. We learned in one of her messages, it sounds like she's just talking about how to decrypt the Russian message. We've got most of the Russian message decrypted. And then we've got all of these new documents. Let's go through them very quickly to recap them. This is the Russian generals talking about the rockets with Elizabeth running that. Here she is just saying she's ready to host it. Here is Elizabeth writing to Penny, ruling out Goosefelt from being the Russian spy. Here are the 2 Germans talking about the Nazi dating service. Here was a note intercepted in 3rd March from the Russian handler saying, from Russian spies saying, German scientists have produced unpiloted projectile capable of hitting targets of great distance. Base of operation. So I suppose we should write that down. Is the V2 base, says the Russian spy. We haven't heard that independently. This is the first we're hearing of it. On the 3rd of March, 1943, top secret from box 4. This is important because the spy has got information for this that we haven't seen where that was written down yet. Maybe if we see the document that lays out this information, we'll know who had access to it. I think we all suspect Lizzie's boyfriend, Carl. And then this gave us the shift value for the Russian message. Then we've got a letter talking about they're overcrowding. They have to pick the people that are important. This is a very important list for us because these are the people that might have access to top secret M room information. Obviously, Elizabeth suspects one of these people because she's already started tracking down who to rule out. And Gus Feltz, she's ruled out. But that still leaves Rosa, Eliza, and Famke. Famke is a very... If you name your daughter Famke, you know that they're going to come under some suspicion if they're ever in a list of people. Who's the actress, Famke, who's like a film noir actress? She's very, she looks dangerous. Famke Johnson, something like that. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? She was in a modern noir movie. She looks dangerous. Like you wouldn't want to be in her, you wouldn't want to get caught on her bad side. Okay. And then we've got Townsend is running this place, and Cody is reminding us that he's a bit suspicious for us as well. Maybe he was the guy who identified her body. Was he? I guess maybe he was. He's the guy in charge of this place, so it's not so surprising. We don't really know why this is relevant. Unless it's just to confuse us with more operation names, because we got a bunch of them. And then here they are discovering male body, not Gretchen's body, a body that we don't really know who it is yet, but I think we suspect that our decoded Russian note is about this. I think we suspect this is about this. And didn't we know, we learned who this person's name is, didn't we? Here's a letter about Gretchen, who's disappeared on September. They can't find her. Known associate Amelia Mazur can't explain how she disappeared. So she's been disappeared, maybe killed, maybe run off. But that's not the body they found. In July, they found in their body that Elizabeth is talking about. I think Elizabeth mentions it here. She mentions being interviewed. Where did we learn the name of the person? I wouldn't be surprised if this said, like, they found a dead body on the grounds or in the foundation. I did not something that the investigation was great for me. We'll try to get the rest of that. Did we learn the name of the person who was found dead? Was it not in the telegram? I thought we learned their name. Someone... Was it Elizabeth's next letter? Let me see if someone can recall whether we learned his name. The name of the body is in the telegram, isn't it? Oh, that's right, it is, isn't it? He says male body, but then he later goes on to say who he thinks it is. Suspect body to be that of missing CSDIC personnel Sergeant Percival Raper. Okay, so the body found is Percival Raper. What a name, huh? I guess you can't choose your last name. CSDIC Sergeant Percival Raper. I don't think we've come across his name before, have we? This is in July 1943, we think, sometime in there. So we don't know when exactly this message was found, but it wouldn't be too surprising if he's talking about that. All right, we'll try to get this converted. Okay, anything else that we... Anything else to talk about from this box to go over, to solve, to figure out? We've just got lots of interesting notes. But it feels like there's nothing for us to do other than finish decoding the Russian message. Anything else? Anna says, maybe the Russian spy that killed Percival and now is afraid they will find him. We need to decode the rest of the Russian message. It is not easy to do on the tablet, but since we're only 28 minutes in, we could go back to the bus tickets. Yeah, that's interesting. It feels like the bus tickets aren't going to... I feel like it's not going to give us any good information when we decode it. Like, based on when it was sent, it feels like it's out of date and we don't need it. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to see if I can't... Let's see. Do I have a way to show the tablet while we're talking? Kind of. What I want to do is work on the tablet while we can see you guys talking, which is kind of this screen. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do here is... Oh no, that's not the chat. That's not what I want. I want the chat and the tablet. Do I not have that? How about this? There we go. Look at that. Where do you get... What other channel has this? Okay. So what I thought we would do is I would go and try on this tablet, although I'm not very good at this, to figure out what we mistranslated while the chat is up and you guys can talk. But maybe before I do that, I should say goodnight. We've basically finished box 4. It's been a very enjoyable box. Lots of narrative, lots of true story stuff going on. It helped us push us to getting a couple other things solved. It was the last little nudge we needed for the Russian cipher, filled in some details, told us a lot more story details that are fascinating about the tunnels, about this other dead body, etc. So we're going to stop here tonight, and we're not going to pick up until the start of the 2024, the new year. I'll see some of you again on Sunday for our play-by-mail. I'll maybe stream over New Year's onto the 1st. Can everyone who's super interested, who has a chance of making the schedule, meet on January 1st, the evening of January 1st for me, Central Time, at our normal time on the 1st? If so, that's when our playthrough of Box 5 will be, kicking off the new year. But we'll discuss this a little bit on the Discord and on the Board Game Geek Guild, both of which you'll find links on the About page. So if you are been joining us for these and you want to keep joining, and maybe half of you can't make the 1st, then we'll push it to the 2nd. Otherwise, we'll do our best. The 1st or soon afterwards. And in the intervening days, I'm going to catch up on my other work. And we're going to stop now, except I'm going to stay on the stream and try to finish up decoding this Russian spy message. Depending on how easily I can handle the tablet, we'll either do it or we'll have to do it offline if it's too frustrating. Okay, so thank you for joining me. We're going to stay online, but feel free to leave rather than just sit here and watch me struggle with the tablet. And I will go back to my fancy view here. Okay, I'll just talk through this, but you guys can keep talking. Anna says, I think I can make January 1st. Okay, so I tried to OCR the documents. Eventually, the one I thought looked best, because look at this one translated as $03. The Google one looked best, and then I had to ask it, Google Chat, to convert that into uppercase for me because the Caesar cipher thing wasn't liking a custom alphabet with that. So this is the OCR I use. So this is what I'm going to compare with the actual note and see if I can't pick out any OCR'd text, because I suspect that's where the problem is. All right, let's see if we can go through it. So already I see this feels like, okay, well, where was our mistranslation? Found a dead. So is it word for word? Okay, let's see. NBL, HAA. So these, according to our transcripts, actually, these two should be the same things. So the problem is we don't have this alphabet, TH. So how am I going to do this? This is the part where it gets painful. Is it word for word? Waiting for instructions. Okay, so why don't maybe we can do it in pieces. HA, it feels like this got mistranslated. Let me make a copy of this. It's not pleasant to do this on this little keyboard without a proper mouse. I don't have a proper mouse, do I? Let me see if this mouse works on this. Yes, it does. Okay. So, no. And then TH, and then this should be a tilde N instead of a regular N. N. Is this even right? Okay. This should be this symbol again. Unless someone else can do a better job of this, I would welcome it. N. H. N, and then I don't know if this is worth doing here. It's only a couple words though, right? And this should be after the H, we should have looks like it didn't like any of the oh, that's an N. Okay, so okay. So AA, then we should have a TH U TH backwards N, then another alpha, then 2H N alpha TT. Then we have 3A alpha H E N, this crazy thing, and a U. Okay, so that looks right to me. The channel is talking, as they should, about the experience so far. Let's see. I was thinking tickets could be a clue to another cipher. Perry says mixed feelings, quick, FASA ramp up in 3. What is FASA? TAN3AEBL and A. P. Okay, so here it is. It's made the same mistake where it's not picking up the N tilde here. Okay. H, a crazy Cyrillic. TH, there's it again, missing the N tilde. Maybe if I fix all those, everything's going to come into place. BU. And we've got alpha, BL, MM, crazy asterisk, A, R, and with tilde this time it got 3, BL, regular NTA, that looks all right. OTO, alpha, and now it's mixed its N again. Then we've got crazy B, crazy angled with asterisk. And then this should be another N alpha. That looks like most of our translation OCR happened because it didn't pick up the tildes on the N's. Then we have 3, and again, a missed N. A, E, 0. Now, has it picked up the 3? Yes, but has it thought there's a 0 when there's an O? I guess that looks okay. K, there's a missing N again. Asterisk, another missing N. Then crazy B, crazy A, and N. W. You can't see, you're not seeing what I'm looking at, but I'm looking at this. This is what I'm doing here. E, R, A, M. Okay, it looks like it's messed up this one here. It coded it as an N. Is that an N or is that a different letter of the alphabet? Looks like a Y. What letter is that? There is a Y letter. Is that an N or is that a Y? Let me circle it here. I'm not sure. Do I have any more of those somewhere? Because I can't type them without... is it this letter here? B-R-A-M. I think this is a mistranslation and it should... Whoop! I think this should be the Y. I think. Okay. Okay, so here's our more missed tilde ends. Okay. K, tilde N, P, maybe a tilde N, then an alpha, and a tilde N and a regular N. Someone in Russian could do this better for us. Okay, then H, A, asterisk. This should be a tilde N. Okay, then we have the H, BL3. This feels like it didn't translate this right, because this BL3, it wrote as literally BL3, but that's not right, is it? It's a special character, not a BL as two characters, right? Where is that special character translated properly there? So this HBL should be this, which is one letter. Yes. Okay, there's HBL. And is that a... has it mistranslated that 3 as a 3 when it should be an E? That's a little hard to tell from here. Like, I can't tell if this... like, is it this? Has it mistranslated some 3s when they should be E's? No. Look at this crazy Russian Cyrillic. There's 2 different ways to write. Look at this. There's a 3, looking 3 with a curly Q, but then look, there's this. That looks a lot like it. All right. I guess in every language there are things that look like the same thing for someone. Okay, well, here we are at the HBL3. Okay, so this looks like a oops. After HBL3, it's translated OSIA. That's completely wrong. It should be a crazy O. TO, where do we have any of those? I know we've seen them before. Here. This crazy character is down here instead of the O and the S. And then we've got a backwards R character and then an A. So let me get rid of this guy. Where am I? It's all cut and paste since I don't know how to type it. Okay, there's the R. Backwards R goes right there. Okay. EBLE, and it's done the same thing here. It's written out B and L in English when really it should be this. Okay. 3NA. Okay. E, then it's got the BL right, and then it's got some crazy thing right. AHMB. Okay. We've got our A, our crazy TO, our N with a tilde, N without a tilde. I say N, that's really backwards. N, T, E, H, and now we need a N tilde instead of N. Okay, we're almost done here. Then we've got NA. Then we've got N, crazy BL, our triangle. Backwards R, A, H, period. Our crazy B, our backwards R, our O. Then O, E, B, L, B, B, N, T, alpha. Okay, and we know the end of the thing makes sense already. So this feels good to me. The chat is discussing how you pronounce these things that I don't know what I'm doing. The three looking one is a Z. Kind of reminds me of the messenger where we're solving things but didn't really know what we're supposed to do with them. And it says you pronounce it as a Z but write it as a 3. Okay. All right, so now we've got our improved Russian OCR. Now, I don't want to lose that. Okay, so now the problem is on my desktop, I know what Caesar cipher I got to work, but we now have to find one online. The backwards N you pronounce like an E. Okay, that's craziness. All right, so now we have to find an online Russian Caesar cipher. Now, I did not have luck finding one. I had to put in my custom alphabet, but let's see one. I think this one might work. Okay, let's see. So I'm not sure if this one's going to work, but the way we would do this is we go to the document, we copy in my custom Russian alphabet, which is all uppercase, which I ensured that the message was in. Do this so much easier on a desktop. Okay, so then we give it our custom alphabet. Okay, then we go and copy our message. I don't know if this Caesar cipher is going to work. Depends if it knows Unicode. Okay. And then our shift is a 5, but it's -5. That does not look right. Oh, it's -4. Ah, that looks right. Okay. So it has converted it. It's done a -5 with A going to BL, which still feels to me like it's the wrong direction, but I happen to know that that's the right direction. Maybe that is right. That is what we want, -5. Okay. So we're about to get it. I hope you got you're ready and to be excited about this. Okay, so now we've shifted the Russian. And now we're going to go to Google Translate. And we're going to say, can we go to a full page view? Okay. And we're going to say, translate from Russian. Come on, guys. Okay. Found a dead shuttle on the territory. I did not want the investigation to threaten my position here. I buried the body at 3, where it seems to me no one will find it, waiting for instructions. All right, so we might still have a little bit of translation, but I found a dead shuttle. I did not want the investigation to threaten my position here. I buried the body at 3, where EAE, it seems to me, nobody will find it. Okay, so what did we mistranslate? Okay, it looks like it failed to translate these. Maybe these words look right, but are using English instead of Russian. And remember that this is, we have to be a little careful because Google Translate, like if it had to guess, it may guess. So it may still be like, I'm a little suspicious of some, like this HA. I wonder if we can fix this. No, we can't fix this way. We have to look at the Caesar shift. Is there anything that it looks like it didn't know how to do? HA3. Yeah, look what happened. I think it didn't did it not translate? Did it not shift this word? Like it looks like this A and 3, it didn't know how to translate. Is it because it looks like an A to us, but it's not? Let me just see something. Let me find an A that it did like. And then replace, which one do we think it didn't translate? HA3, translated that one. It doesn't look like it shifted this one. Is it because it doesn't know that that's an A? Let's look at it here. Yeah, look, see, it didn't know that that was actually an A. And then HBL3 turned to HA3. So I don't think it knows, I don't think this is the genuine backwards 3. Let me find one that it did like. Did it like this one here? How about now? Yeah, look, now it's translated it. Let's see if this is any better. I buried the body for us, where I think no one will find it. That seems a little bit better. Found a dead shuttle on the territory. I do not want the investigation to threaten my position here. I buried the body for us where I think nobody will find it. Waiting for instructions. So the only other word I'm concerned about is this one, territory. Found a dead shuttle on the territory. Is that, do you think it's this word here? Let's try. If we kill this word, do we lose territory? Do we lose shuttle? That's territory, okay. So I'm trying to find shuttle to see if that got mistranslated. M-E, fourth word here. Can anyone else pick up? Is it this M-E-P-T, Burrow? Okay, let's see. Fourth word. M-E-T-P. That looks like that all got converted. I mean, it could be right. Found a dead shuttle on the territory. Feels like that should be body. Is there any way to convince it that, let me just see something. Wow, it's 2 words that this is affecting. I feel like this might just be a Google translation error. Shelmick or shuttle. Feels like that's probably dead body. Although, boy, it would be nice to know for sure, huh? It's definitely the M-E-P-T borough. M-E-T-P borough. We're getting that as the fourth word here. This one. Does this look like it got translated right? I've got 3A, and then this, H, backwards E, umlaut N, crazy T. I have a little trouble seeing that. That's the crazy T. Well, that looks right to me. So maybe it's Russian slang or something. Or we could try a different translation engine. Okay, but let's save this so we don't lose it. Okay, so but this is basically the message. The Russian spy saying, I found a dead body, a dead shuttle on the territory. I did not want the investigation to threaten my position here. I buried the body for us where I think nobody will find it, waiting for instructions. Okay, first of all, thank you for staying with me, those of you who have. Let's catch up with the chat, because I think the chat has recognized the important thing here, which is what Jonathan says. It seems to be implying that the Russian spy is unrelated to the murders. And Anna is agreeing. So if the Russian spy didn't kill this person, who did? That is a very interesting idea, isn't it? Now, regarding the bodies, Gretchen is missing before Elizabeth gets there, and the male body they found, they're saying was killed before Elizabeth got there. So both bodies are dead before Elizabeth starting. So that doesn't really help us. I was just trying to see, could we tell which body this note is about? What do we think the date is that this message is sent? Where is our notes here? Need help with a coded note. That's 30 May 1943. 17 April is our common letter. We think they don't find the body till July 1943. I think that's our thinking. So she's uncovered the note in May. They do end up finding the body of the man in July, we think. So, but we don't know when this note was written, but we know she found it in May. So it makes sense, though, that he could have killed the body. Gretchen's body hasn't been found. Gretchen's body hasn't been found. So while this note could be talking about hiding Gretchen's body, it seems more likely that he's talking about hiding the male body, and now it's been found. It's possible that this translation actually shuttle might be a mistranslation of male or female. He could be saying I found a dead male body or whatever, but it sounds like he probably found the guy's dead body. But we don't know. So the chat is talking. I thought this message was not sent. Well, it may not have been sent either way. And Tina says, is there a remote chance that the Russian spy is a German prisoner? Very unlikely, it seems. No, this person has a full walk of the territory. He's walking the lands alone and has the freedom to bury a body. So no, the Russian spy can't be a prisoner. If the spy didn't kill the body, what's the reason for him to bury it? I think Jonathan's interpretation is right. He's just worried about tighter security if there's a murder investigation. I think that's exactly right. I think that's the implication here. He's writing a message saying, look, if they found a dead body, they would do this big investigation and they might find me as a side effect of their investigation. So he's hid the body so that no one knows anything goes wrong, so the police don't come and so there's no investigation. That seems very clear to me. All he's saying is, I don't want police to be rummaging around the place because then they might put me at risk. There's no way in this to be like, to tell Google to like scramble it up a bit. Like maybe ChatGPT would do a better job of translating, or maybe we can do that another time. We can do that. We can try to do better translations a little bit later. Perry says what I assume, which is the Russian spy is a mole. It really feels that way to me. Like Carl or one of the other British people working at Latimer House is actually a Russian spy, a British double agent. I think that's right. And the other thing that we noted that I think is important, so we're going to end this soon, but it is interesting to talk about what information, what clues do we have that could help us narrow down who the double agent spy, Russian spy is. We know Elizabeth is looking into it and she's ruled out Gus something. Now, we don't know when the body was moved, but we do know that they picked up an attempt by the spy to send a coded message. This is the part I wanted to talk to. They've caught a message from in Chalfont that it sounds like someone was trying to send about the V2 and how they knew its base of operations. So we're looking for a spy who had access to where the base of operations were, which we haven't heard yet. And we're looking for someone who might have been in Chalfont on the 3rd of March. So it might make sense to go back to our letters from Penny, where she talks about her little excursions in town sometime, right? Like 23rd of March, she's in town. So I wonder if there's a chance, like she could have been telling us a little bit about that and mention other people that are in town. Let's just look at that. Let me just look at this. So 23rd March, what I'd be looking for is if she said anything about anyone being in town earlier in the month. So notice this is on the 23rd of March, she's talking about the person pursuing her, Kay. So he's got excited, he's got interested in her right after this coded message was sent. She's talking about him, but not giving us any date. All right. Well, what about in February. Does she tell us anyone who's got plans to be anywhere in March in the February letter? Well, by February, she's met up in person, but that's it. All right. Well, I don't see any other information that could help tell us who was in Chalfont in March, but we should absolutely be keeping an eye out for that information, right? If we find some information about someone who was in Chalfont on March 3rd, that would be highly suspicious. We don't know exactly. Or if we find something about someone who couldn't have been in Chalfont around March 3rd, 1943. I'm just going to make a note here. Coded Russian message intercepted. So our spy, if we're looking for keeping a track of information that would help us catch our spy, this might be a clue, as well as someone who knows that the V2 base. When did Anna says, we established Lizzie and Carl met after Valentine's Day. We all suspect Lizzie's new boyfriend, but wait a second. Let me go back to that letter that I skimmed over, where she mentions Carl on March 23rd. Doesn't she say something about, Lizzie wrote in March she didn't get a Valentine because the thing with Carl is new. Yes, but happened between them. We know that Carl was at her desk and left her something. I want to see if that could have happened. What am I hoping to find, though? Yes. I'm hoping to find the information from the March 3rd coded message talking about the location of the base. So if he's hanging out over her desk around March 3rd, before March 3rd, that could be where he learned the information that he tried to send on March 3rd. So let's look at this again. Okay, she says, I can't put in a letter, but I'll call him K. He's been dropping into the office with tea and biscuits. Just the other day, left me a bar of chocolate on my desk. So 23rd of March, she's writing that recently he was at her desk while she was gone, left her some chocolate. So that would, and we know it's been between February 14th when he didn't give her a letter and this letter. So that feels to me like Carl somewhere between February 15 and March 23 at Lizzie's desk. Mentions V2 base location, which is, in case we need it, PEENEMUNDE. So in other words, this guy, her new boyfriend, is hanging around her desk in March. And on March 3rd, they catch the Russian spy sending a message saying that German scientists have produced unpiloted projectile capable of hitting targets at great distances, base of operations in Penmund. So our Russian spy has figured out sometime close to March 3rd, a little bit before, he knows information that it seems like Elizabeth would have been picking up in her reports on her desk. So I think this is pretty compelling coincidence pointing to Carl. Now we just have to see if we could catch him in town or something. All right. Fantastic box. Makes up for box 3 quite a bit. Very exciting. And we've got murders at Latimer that aren't being done by the Russian spy. Who is doing the murdering? And why would Elizabeth fake her death and go to Germany? We still have no clue about that. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Anyone who's still around, YouTube says 12 concurrent viewers, 10 likes. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll meet again, I think, on January 1st, but to be sure, you could stop by the Discord for this channel or the Board Game Geek Guild for it, and we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll be here on the evening of New Year's playing something else. We'll find out. Last chance for the chat to chime in. Anna says, maybe it's a good old murder mystery unrelated to the war and the spies. Could be jealousy, money, or revenge. Yeah, we don't know, but we've got 2 missing people, a guy and a girl. Maybe they committed suicide in a secret place or something. I don't know. I'll see you next time.